All right, guys, here we go. Into the night. We're doing something that just got dark. We're just getting started. We're going to show you some places you've never been, some places you might never see again. But this is where we're at right now. This is what we do live. Before we bring it to you, get ready. This is where we come from. All in a minute. Right back. Into the Night Radio. Chuck, April, and Tony, believe it or not. This is where we work. This is our studio for now.
Everyone. This is April G. Reviews from Into Night Radio and On Location Interviews. I am so honored to do this interview tonight with my good friend Linda McIntyre, correct?
Yes.
Linda is here tonight, uh, and I'm so happy. She is what's North Hollywood known as the Soup Lady. You're probably wondering, what does the Soup Lady mean? Well, before we get to the interview, as many of you, well, like there's so many of them, but from the few followers that I have, I've made no secret that 2.5 years ago, I became homeless. And God dropped me off in North Hollywood Park. And that is where I met Tacky Tony. Say hello, Tony.
Hey.
That's him, believe it or not.
And this is Linda. Welcome.
Thank you very much, April.
You're welcome. Sorry about your luck. It works for cheap. But back to what I was saying. Homelessness was something that I had about 5 minutes to think about. And I was dropped into a world that always given to the homeless, but it's a completely different world, especially when you haven't been in it. And God bless me with people like Linda and Tony, who literally saved my life. And I mean that in more ways than I can let you know. Homelessness can happen to anyone, anytime, anywhere, any place. As I said earlier, I always gave to the homeless. I was a waitress and got in trouble for giving food. But in the back of my mind, I always thought, what did they do? Oh my gosh, it's drugs or ex-cons or the wrong side of the tracks. But let me tell you, God gave me a wonderful journey because what I learned is I met people of all ages, races, professionals, walks of entertainment, from writers, directors, to nurses, to teachers.
Doctors,
It can happen,
lawyers.
yes, it can happen to anyone, anytime, any place. In America and throughout the world, we're all one step a paycheck away. I met a drummer a couple summers ago who worked for Little Richard for 26 years. Himself, his daughter, his wife were out here. He said, hey man, I worked for 25 years. They had the lifestyle, but they didn't say. Little Richard got injured, and all of a sudden, bye-bye apartment, bye-bye car, hit the streets. So we're doing this in hope of changing a perspective. If we can change one person's perspective, it can happen to anyone. And when it happens, we're still the same people. We weren't hatched from an egg. We all went to college or had a job, a home. In my articles, I was told once upon a time, we were just like you. And that's what I love about Linda. She's always treated us with utmost dignity and respect. And we're here tonight, Linda. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
As I told you when we talked before, again, I appreciate all the organizations out here that provide food, clothing, and shelter. But what some people and organizations, when you're hungry, you have to listen to a sermon. And I'm not putting that down in any way. But Linda has been helping people for how long has it been?
It'll be a year of Thanksgiving. We started last Thanksgiving, the day after.
Right. And Linda's organization is just herself and her family. Nobody's behind her or doing anything. She does it from her heart. What I'd like to start out is, how did you get involved in this, and what made you decide to even start in the first place?
Well, I've always been empathetic to people. I mean, I'm a nurse, so it sort of is who you are. But last Thanksgiving, the day after Thanksgiving, we were driving. I live in the neighborhood, and I had my oldest granddaughter with me. And we went by North Hollywood Park, and there were a group of people at the table. And she asked me if I thought they were hungry. And I said, well, I think they're homeless. So and she gave me the look that only your kids can give you. And she said, we have a lot of leftovers. And so we went home, and the next day, we didn't go that day, the next day we brought bag lunches, and I think we only brought 8 or 10. Um, but meeting the people was such a joy. We went in the afternoon, it was a little late, so there weren't a lot of people there. I've learned a lot now about timelines and things. But it felt so good, and I love that my grandkids
Right,
were
of course.
involved in it. So we went the next week and we brought 10 lunches.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were too many people. There were more than the 10, so I thought, well, I'll make a pot of soup and bring a pot of soup so that we have lunches and the soup. Well, now it's grown.
About how many people now do you think you're serving?
It's between 30 and 50 every Saturday.
Right.
Because we bring 36 lunches, the bags with everything. And then we also bring 2 stock pots full of chicken soup.
Right.
And it's homemade soup.
And that's why she's known throughout every Saturday, whether you're walking down Magnolia, what time is the soup lady coming? She's North Hollywood's famous soup lady.
She's got a label.
But Linda is also being very modest. Not only does she bring soups and sandwiches, she brings homemade sandwiches. She'll buy hams or chicken. There's a homeless man named Bill that has a dog named Mia. She brings the bones for the dog, vitamins. If you need something and you ask Linda, if she can't get it, she will. She goes above and beyond what I've ever seen and never asks for anything. And it's not just the food that we look forward to. It's the way she'll dance with Elijah, who's another friend of ours, or the way she'll sit down and chat. She's also gotten her friend involved, who also comes and serves and brings things. And we all sit around and
She
chat.
makes her famous cakes.
Yes.
Yes.
We call it friendless cakes?
Famous cakes.
Famous cakes.
And she can put up with this big mouth.
Absolutely.
And actually melted his heart. And I look forward to, for me it was hard. There's a lot of wonderful homeless friends that I've made. But being someone that hasn't been out here and basically is kind of like a prissy, scared of bugs, doesn't drink, doesn't do drugs, I've found a lot of places to fit in. And I've always looked forward to the conversation with you. And as we were discussing on the way down here, unfortunately, some people, they think when you're homeless, you were hatched in a cabbage patch. All of a sudden, you never went to college, you never had a job, and you've never made me feel, you made me feel human. That was real hard for me.
Never made you feel unwelcome.
Well, I've been places where, you're homeless, ew, or I'll try and say something that I know I'm right, but no, what do you know? What do you know? You've always treated us with dignity and respect, and I think that's an important thing that I want, if you're listening, to know. We might be dirty, we might not have on the greatest clothes, but we all once upon a time
Dirty?
were just like you. Well, no, not everyone is like that.
We're not dirty.
No, we're
homeless.
not. But some people.
I think we're a little classic homeless.
Okay, well, all cutting aside, when you're homeless, you do the best you can to shower up, whether it's going into the library, showering up, washing your hair in the sink.
Or going into the
We
bathroom.
do the best we can. But by some people's appearances, it's like, oh, you're homeless. And many times I've been trying to be involved in conversation, and it's like, they disregard what I say because however could I have a brain? OMG, I mean, like I was brought down from Mars. And that's what we love about Linda. The most important thing to me, and I probably think for most homeless people, is we're still people, we're human. We have opinions, we have background, we have families, cars. Like I said before, without repeating myself, some very famous people have been. And it's important to remember, we're just people wanting to be treated with respect. And I think a lot of times, society treats people disrespectfully. It's probably why they get some of the negative behavior. But back to you, I can't thank you enough for what you've done. Linda's like a guardian angel. I had lost all of our belongings due to a park sweep. I mean, everything, every pair of jeans. And I had an event trying to go back to work doing what I love to do. Linda brought me, I don't know how she knew, that's why I know it's all meant to be from upstairs, 2 of the cutest skirt outfits that I could go do these things or I wouldn't have been able to. Linda goes above and beyond and has never asked for anything in return. and actually likes hanging around with us. After you met him, I don't know why you didn't go running for the hills.
Well, you know, everybody loves
Yeah.
Tacky Tony, so you know.
Okay,
What?
I wanna say something.
And that's what I was just gonna say.
She overstates.
No, I don't.
I love the people that I've met at the park. I will tell you that the first couple of times, I was a little,
Skeptic.
I
Getting
was
used
a
to.
little
Apprehensive.
trepidation, a little apprehensive.
Yeah.
And what I found is these are just, even the people who aren't 100% in the moment with you are nice people. And when two things happened that made me absolutely 100% confident. One day it was raining, and I brought everything like I do, and David came running out to the car, and he goes, "Don't get out of the car." And I go, "Why?" He goes, "It's raining. We don't want you to get sick. Just get back in the car, come back another day." And so I didn't, but you know, we worked it out. I served out of the back of the van. And the other thing that happened, and it involves this guy.
Oh, gee.
Oh,
I'm so sorry.
Well, sorry about it, luck.
Did
We
that
love
cuss you
it.
out?
There was
You
a young man who wasn't a usual part of our group, but he came by, but he was in a bad mood. I'll just leave it at that. But he started arguing and cursing and fighting, and that's something that I really have a hard time with.
Right.
And I was starting to look for how can I leave when I realized that Tony and several of the other men were between this person and me. And I thought, I have never felt so taken care of in my life. It was important to me because now I bring my grandchildren. I have a 15-year-old and a 9-year-old, and I have no worries about bringing them out there because I know that whatever happened, and really the people have been incredibly great.
But occasionally there is.
But I'm also
Problems.
confident that we're taken care
Oh,
of.
they got your back. That's,
Okay,
oh, yeah.
and that means everything because